Doctor placed you in my arms. I knew I'd meet death before I let you meet harm. Although questions arose in my mind, would I be man enough against wrong? Choose right and be standing up. From the hospital that first night, took an hour just to get the car.
I guess with the AP stuff, the song is interesting choice, but my choice to play it for tonight was because it's just the two of you guys. I'm gonna be kind of directing the show, but no Davis Maddock. He just made a guest appearance off air and showed us his cheeks, and they were big.
They're not that big.
Yeah, they were big cheeks.
Nah.
I mean, let's call it what it is. Big cheeks Maddock is definitely a thing. So yeah, we're talking college football tonight here on the College Football After Dark show with Ben Pritchett, Natural Slugger, and Jordan Case. Ben, you got a little bit of a sweat going on, don't you?
I don't think it's much of a sweat anymore. They've got all the scrubs in now. So
are you going to win it?
I mean, yeah, I'm winning all the little GPPs, but nothing like crazy money. But I didn't have a whole lot in play either.
I mean, it's not the Slam. What is it? The $25 one? Yeah,
I won the Hail Mary. I'm going to win the Hail Mary. I'm going to win the $2 GPP. I'm second in the $1 GPP, but, you know.
No big deal.
Okay, easy there.
No big deal. I only had like 80. I don't like playing a lot in these little bitty mini slates, but Gunner Kill was just the man. So I threw in like $80 into some GPPs and cashing like crazy. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
You're welcome for that Gunner Kill play, by the way.
Yeah, these guys, you guys don't understand. They gave me such hell for talking about rostering Gunner Kill, and they're all like, "Oh my god, he's a head case. He's been at 2 different universities." I'm like, dude, the guy's a stud. And I said I'm going McKay and Gunner Kill, and then gonna float some Baylor guys around them.
My point was not about his DFS. My point was just the fact that he's floated around. You committed to LSU, decommitted, verbally committed to Vanderbilt, decommitted, committed to Notre Dame, left, now is at Cincinnati. But he was a highly touted prospect. I wasn't saying you shouldn't play him. I'm just saying, yeah, that dude is a head case. Hey Ben, do you have the money counter behind you now?
I moved it. I thought it might make me get the wrong impression for all our viewers. I'm not a dealer or anything. I just didn't.
Sure.
Is it still in the shot?
You realize you moved it like right behind you.
Well, it needs to really be back next to the desk, so when I need it, I have it right there ready to count. But, you know, I'll move it back after the show. I thought I was pulling it out of the shot.
No, well. You definitely just put it like right there in the shot with you.
I can't see, so I'll take your word for it.
Ben, you wrote quite a bit on tomorrow's slate, so no matter what we say tonight, it's not going to cover everything that you have written about. And then you also did rankings, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's the first week me and Jordan have done this. I hope to keep growing it, and maybe we can get some composites done in the next couple weeks and start getting that stuff rolled out so people can kind of get a consensus. Because, I mean, I don't claim to know all the answers, and I know Jordan brings a little bit of a different perspective because anytime you bring more than one eyes to these slates, it's always helpful to figure out, you know, some plays that I missed.
Did you just say anytime you bring more than one eyes?
One set of eyes. Come on, man.
I'm just trying to get what you're trying to say.
You know, we've been celebrating the victories tonight already, so getting geared up for tomorrow. If you know what I'm saying.
Hey, Jordan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you not see me?
No, we can see you, but it's like this. It's your Christian Mingle pick right now.
My Christian Mingle pick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a selfie.
It definitely is, man.
Yeah. It happens.
Push the video button and then push it again. There you go.
I'm good now, right?
Yeah, no, we're good. All right.
Thanks.
Okay. I don't know what happened. It just started being all weird.
All right, so first impressions of the slates tomorrow. Ben, what's your thoughts?
It's a fun one. There's a lot of different ways you can go, but I think that the more I look over it, the more I think you're going to need to pay some level. We do this for some fun, and I know Todd Gurley is going to get points. His ceiling might be a little bit capped, considering I think the Bulldogs haven't scored more than 20 points in South Carolina since like 1994. So if you want to run with that kind of trend, that's pretty bad. So to think that they're going to accumulate a lot of stats is risky. But South Carolina's defense was terrible first week against Texas A&M. So and Gurley is the man. He is the best back in college football. But when we strip away Gurley and you're just looking at the other guys other than Tevin Coleman, you always know Ajayi is the man. James Conner's a guy that I think people are going to forget about because he's only on the DraftKings slate, but he is a beast, and they're just intent on giving him the ball to set up the little pass with Wojtek to Boyd. But it is the Conner show. So I'm interested to see where Jordan would think about any of these higher priced running backs.
Yeah, I love the higher price guys this week. I had a real hard time fading Tevin Coleman and Jay Ajayi. Like they're locked into my lineups on both sides. But
Son of a gun.
Well, I'll pick up what he was saying. He's got him locked up in his lineups all week. And that's not a bad strategy. You're just going to really have to go cheap at your quarterback in order to get those guys in, and probably cheaper in your wide receivers. So
yeah, I have my most expensive guy on FanDuel right now for wide receiver is Shane Wynn. So,
which is a beautiful play. I think he's a great play. Are you running?
I love him.
Beautiful. Come on.
What's wrong with that? Hey, so are you running Sudfeld as your quarterback in that little lineup you've got going?
No, I have Wes Lunt, actually.
Oh,
okay.
Because that worked out last week.
I really like the fact that Washington gave up like 52 points to Eastern Washington or something like that last week. And I'm expecting Illinois to go off. So.
One thing I will add, though, when you look at what Washington did against Eastern Washington, that Vernon Adams, who's the quarterback for Eastern Washington, is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, he's good. That's a good team.
He is they would probably be one of the top Conference USA teams right now. So it's tough to you have to make sure you gauge that game in context, considering that Eastern Washington is really so good. I think they're the number. Oh, yeah. They were definitely the preseason number one going into the season for FCS teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that game it's another higher over/under game. It's at 65 right now, with Washington as like a 2-point favorite. So Illinois is going to be throwing the ball quite a bit in the second half. And I don't know. Phil Steele has his projections out, and he doesn't think Illinois is going to run the ball at all. He's projecting for like 70 yards, I think, on the ground.
They don't run the ball anyways. They pass to Ferguson, so that makes sense.
So I expect big things from Lunt.
Can I just say that when I was researching James Conner, because I did see an article about him gaining national attention now, there is in the FIU section of the Miami Herald, it says Pittsburgh running back James Conner is the vocal point in the Battle of Panthers against FIU. Not focal point, vocal point.
What does that mean? Does he sing?
I don't know. It's not. It has to be a typo because I'm trying to find out. I don't get it. Did he say something? But no, that is just a huge headline fail.
He had 36 carries last week. I mean, again, in a win against Boston College.
Yeah,
they are committed to giving him the ball.
Who was the other Pitt running back last year that?
They had 3 or 4.
No, they really only had 2.
No, they had Bennett. They still have Bennett. They had Ibrahim. Connor went through a stretch. I don't know if he got injured, and I still have a bad taste in my mouth, which is why I haven't ranked Connor until this week, because I think they played one midweek game too, but he was just such a up and down guy, and then he lost the job, kind of came back, got some injuries, and he was good in some games and then was awful in other games. But he was a freshman. He's a sophomore now, so maybe he's put it all together. But I still remember that.
Yeah, I like James Conner, but I think on DraftKings, Jay Ajayi is $200 cheaper. I think you have to do that because Conner might get his 30 touches. We don't really know, but Ajayi is a lock for 30 touches almost every single game. So I think that's just it's really hard. His price tag is too low there.
I pulled up Connor's game logs. He had 4 games over 100 yards, and then he had 8 games under 40 yards. So
It's pretty volatile.
That was so frustrating last year. And yeah, it's been great this year, but I'm still very nervous with everything going forward. But I think he's awesome this week. I almost think he's better than Ajayi on DraftKings. It's close.
He said almost, Jordan, not definitely.
I would say they're 1A, 1B type
classic
things.
Ben Pritchett hedge.
Yes,
I would
think.
So
I still like
Connor
Ajayi
goes off-
better. I even like Tevin Coleman better
Yeah.
for another $100 cheaper.
If
Like,
Connor
Connor's
goes
a great
off
talent,
tomorrow, Ben can say, "I told you, I liked him better than Ajayi."
No, it's just like when you write these big hoss articles where I have to find the good in several different guys on several different tiers, it makes it really hard to be to focus in on one or two guys. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I know what you're saying. Okay, let's talk about quarterback.
All right, let's talk about quarterback.
Okay, let's talk about early quarterbacks.
Let's talk about that graphic you made, big boy. That's pretty sweet for Marcus Mariota, man.
I'm not gonna lie, the graphics for college football, they just inspire me.
They're all right.
It's
Hopefully, they'll be better than last week's graphics of Derrick Henry and Nick Marshall.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
Man.
But I mean, if to be fair to myself, last week, I mean, putting Derrick Henry in your lineup wasn't the worst thing because he was so cheap. People still put Kareem Hunt and things like that around him, and they still had good lineups. So it was just tough with him being the cover boy and Alabama screwing me. It was tough to deal with last Saturday. I tilted all day on those picks.
Oh man, you were so sensitive.
I really was.
And the thing is that we got the best feedback we've ever gotten for anything that day.
I played 5 times the amount of money I normally would on Sunday for NFL just because I was so tilted from Saturday. And I didn't lose money on Saturday. I just was so upset with how everything went down.
But you lost money on Sunday.
I did the same thing, and it didn't end well for me. I had a terrible NFL week.
Yeah. No, I mean I can definitely see that.
So please listen to our picks as we go into these next ones. No, we talked about our quarterback plays we like. Those middle tier guys, like he said, Wes Lunt is a great play. That over under is huge. He's right, and Illinois can score. And Lunt has proven very capable. 370.5 yards per game and 7 touchdowns over the first 2, which is really, really impressive. I don't think anybody expected him to be that good. And it's not like they played just unbelievable cupcakes either. So he's been really impressive. So I'm with Jordan on that play. And then you have if you look at my rankings, you have a couple other guys like Siler Miles and Grant Hedrick. But I really like Sudfeld. I really do. I mean, going back to that Indiana versus Bowling Green game, seeing that Brandon Doty just ripped them apart with the Bobby Petrino offense in Western Kentucky, run by Braum now. But I mean, he just ripped them to pieces. I just have to feel like you're getting Sudfeld at such a steal, especially on DraftKings where you're rostering 2 quarterbacks. It's just such a good deal that you really have to consider, especially if you're deciding to pair it with a Mariota or a Cato of the higher price guys. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Sudfeld a lot too. And also on the other side of the ball from Wes Lunt is Siler Miles, who hasn't been a slouch this year either. I think that game is another game to target with I don't know what the over-under on it is, but I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in that game because neither team really wants to play defense at all. And both teams, Washington will run it more than Illinois, but they're still going to throw it a ton.
Yeah, and that's just the early slate. If you want to, do you want us to dive into the late slate, David, just a little bit?
I mean, yeah. You want to take over hosting duties? You told me you can't do it, and now you're trying to take over hosting duties.
I'd say I couldn't do it. I just said I was getting a little liquored up, and so I was a little nervous as to my ability to control the conversations as well.
Since when do you not control a conversation?
I don't know. It's a fair point. But if we're going to dive into the late slate quarterbacks, I have Kenny Hill as the number 1, and I think Jordan would agree with me in that situation. Kenny Trill running up against Rice, who's just been terrible to start the year defensively, and they are usually terrible every year defensively. So Kenny Hill, I mean, I don't think I've ever ranked a rookie, pretty much a rookie quarterback, making his first couple of starts, with a new offense for him, and it's just to put him at the highest with these prices, put him at the highest point on all my quarterbacks. It made me nervous. And I did it anyways because I think the matchup is that good, and he proved enough against South Carolina that you just have to trust him. I mean, he threw for 4 touchdowns against Lamar last week, but that's no big deal. I don't count that. But after him, it's Hackenberg. I know Hackenberg was kind of a disappointment last year.
He wasn't that bad, though,
last week. Yeah, he wasn't that bad, but he didn't do anything until the very end. And I blame a little bit of that on James Franklin deciding he wanted to try to run the ball. And they have no running game, and he got to the point where he was even just running wildcat formations just to get a run going, and it was just awful. But Hackenberg can throw, and Rutgers' defense gets toasted.
Well, that's what James. I mean, that he did that at Vandy too a lot.
What, couldn't get the running game going, so he does all these
the wildcat
plays. Yeah,
and Zach Stacy was the man in the wildcat formation. Was the absolute man.
But that doesn't make sense. Why can't you run the ball when you can pass the ball? I don't understand.
Because the running backs are terrible.
No, but I mean they weren't this bad. I mean, I agree with you. They're bad. Belton and Zwienak are terrible, but they don't. I don't understand why they can't get a little bit of running game going. But
Belton is not terrible.
They're pretty bad.
They had some big games last year, but for the most part, they were terrible.
They had big games against slouch defenses.
So many hot takes right now. Okay, go on with your Hackenberg love.
But Hackenberg has all the options you would want. He's got a massive tight end that I'm just completely in love with, and Jesse James. I mean, seriously, like
love your massive tight ends.
Yeah, he's got a massive tight. I mean, he's 6'7", and he runs a 4.6. I mean, I wrote all this up. He runs a 4.6. He's 6'7". He's 270 pounds, and he's like the strongest guy on the team. And he's caught 2 touchdowns. He caught 2 touchdowns last week, and then he was just awesome against Central Florida in the first week. And that's just his tight end. He has 2 really good receivers too, in Geno Lewis and Deshaun Hamilton. So I just think that he has enough weapons around him that if he just slings the ball, and I don't care if he throws interceptions. It just slings the ball as much as possible against Rutgers' defense. They're going to have huge plays. They're going to put up big points. And if you pair him with his wide receivers, he's going to have a really good day, especially for GPPs. Even bigger than last week. But I know Jordan is like me, and he likes to focus on the over-unders, and he likes to focus on running quarterbacks. And to be fair to Christian Hackenberg and to you guys, the listeners, he doesn't have either of those qualities going for him. It has a low over-under, and he doesn't run the ball.
But he does have a massive tight end.
I have the same problem with my number 1 guy. I like Cody Kessler in the late slate. He's my favorite. Because if there is a defense that is worse than Rutgers, or a secondary that's worse than Rutgers, it's Boston College. And Kessler is just going to sling it to Nelson Aguilar. I have those two. A nice little USC mini stat going, or a pair, I guess.
I got a boner.
But yeah, it's not a high over-under, and Kessler isn't going to run at all. But I think he's going to put up a nice fantasy line.
I'm with him a little bit on that, except for I would kind of go away from Kessler if you're going to get into that game and go with the running back with Buck Allen. He's the man.
I like him too, yeah. But that Boston College secondary is so bad.
But if you're gonna just to finish up these late slate quarterbacks, so we don't waste time, the really good plays, they're really good plays at the low level, like Chucky Keaton against Wake. I mean, people are really quick to forget how good Chucky Keaton has been over, in 2012. I mean, the guy was just unbelievable before he got hurt. Like one of the top quarterbacks in the country. And I know he struggled through the first 2 weeks, but as that guy gets gets used to his sea legs and gets it all together and starts, throwing, he is going to be awesome.
Oh, we got a sea legs hot take.
Yeah, sea legs hot take. You never know, man. And then the other 2 guys I wrote at the low price point, I think are really good, still GPP plays. Although I think we learned in the last two games that Texas San Antonio is legit defensively, and if you choose to go with Dax Garman, the replacement for J.W. Walsh at Oklahoma State, just be a little careful and understand that that's a very risky play. But from everything I've read, dude has one of those unbelievable arms, can struggle with accuracy as a lot of the young big arm quarterbacks can, like a Brett Favre or something like that. And I'm not comparing him to Brett Favre, but that's what big arm quarterbacks do. They throw interceptions. And then Drew Hare, who's taken over finally they have a true quarterback, and he's taken over that Jordan Lynch role for NIU at UNLV's weak defense, and he's only 5,300 on FanDuel, so that's a really, really cheap upside play.
Yeah, another guy I want to mention before we get off the late slate quarterbacks is Anu Solomon. He had a huge week one and then was kind of upsetting last week against UTSA, which, like you just mentioned, is a solid defense. But I like what he's going to get against Nevada there. I don't think they're as good as UTSA, not in my opinion anyways. But he is a talented player. He can throw, he can run. He's going to light up Nevada. And he's only 6,300 on DraftKings, which I like that a lot.
I like it a lot. All right.
A lot.
So we covered quarterbacks early and late. Ben, where do you want to go next?
How about running backs?
Okay, go.
Well, if we're diving into running backs, we'd already talked about the more expensive guys on the early slate. But if you dig a little deeper into some of those guys, I really like the middle slate. That's gonna, I think, get overlooked. And we talked about having to spend on your skill position players, but I think people are gonna just zoom right past Marlon Mack for South Florida, because a lot of people rostered him last week, and he had 77 yards and no touchdowns, and he was very expensive on DraftKings, and people just screwed themselves. So basically, if you rostered Marlon Mack last week, you really hurt your team. Well, here we are looking at him again. His price has dropped, I think, tremendously from what it was last week. They're very price sensitive from week to week, and I see a guy that rushed for 246 yards. Against who did he run for that 200-yard game? I think it was Old Dominion, but I'm not positive, in the first week, or Georgia Southern. And then he's running up against NC State, that's just been run all over all year. So I wouldn't be so quick to just dismiss Marlon Mack, especially at 4,900 on DraftKings. I'm just curious, Jordan, how do you feel about rostering running backs that split time?
I'm not a huge fan of it, but if the Oregon, I know you mentioned
Royce Freeman. You got Freeman, Tyner, and Marshall all sharing carries. How do you feel about rostering one of those guys?
I don't mind that so much, because that offense is so prolific. They're going to score a ton of points, and they run just ridiculous amounts of plays. So even if they're splitting carries, they might run the ball 60 times a game. So you could easily see 20 carries out of whoever you roster. But I don't know, on a lesser offense in a lower over-under game, I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah. So I asked that question because you're looking at another guy that splits carries at Arkansas named Alex Collins.
I love him.
Dude, he is so good. But yet they are just they love to give the ball to Jonathan Williams too. So I just don't get the way teams kind of approach the committee running back, and they don't feature Collins enough. But Collins is like a 10 yards per carry type running back, and anytime you can get a guy that can average a ton of yards per carry, he's the guy you want to own. And I think you're going to run in that game in particular. You're going to run against a Arkansas team that's going to be very productive against Texas Tech's defense. I'm looking up at the over under on that one real quick. But
it's at 67 right now.
Yeah, 67. Who's favored in that game?
It's a pick'em.
It's a pick'em. Okay, so you're looking at points on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
So that means running backs are going to be heavily involved, according to if you take that as face value. So Alex Collins is definitely one I like, but more than even Alex Collins, if you take away just I'm not going to use him on DraftKings. I don't think he's worth it on DraftKings. But on FanDuel at 5,900, Thomas Rawls of Central Michigan against Syracuse is the play.
Yeah. What's your hot take on him? I don't know a whole lot about him.
Anytime you can get a workhorse running back, like we just talked about, not splitting carries, a guy it's his job to get the ball down the field. You want to get him in a situation where he's playing a bad defense or a defense that that has potential for scoring points against them. And this is one of those where I think he has that potential. He's had 56 carries in the first 2 games for Central Michigan and been really good in both games. So for 5,900, which is, a deal on FanDuel, I mean, it's only $1,400 more than their minimum price.
Yeah.
It's just a really good play there if you're looking at not spending so much at your second running back.
Yeah, those Rawls and Collins would be the only 2 that I would consider that aren't in the top tier on FanDuel anyways.
You wouldn't consider any of the low, cheap price kind of guys like men's running backs?
I wouldn't do it. Like who?
Like the minimum running backs. I don't think there really is a minimum running back on the early slate. So. But if you dig into the late slate minimum running backs, I think there are a couple. And I think this is my biggest hot take of the whole show, which I'm glad everybody's tuning in, because Cameron Stingly of Northern Illinois is back. And you're talking about a 1,000-yard rusher who they love to get the ball to, made a surprise entrance into last week's game against Northwestern and is supposed to get more carries this week. He rushed for like 46 yards on 6 carries last week. He is going to be the man. And maybe not this week, and which is his only risk. He might only get like 15 carries this week, but you're talking about a guy who later in the year is going to get 20 to 25, and he might get 20 carries this week. I don't know how healthy he is. They're not really saying much. I can't find much about it. But Stingly is the man at these low price points. But I also like Kelvin Taylor of Florida versus.
Yeah, I do like Kelvin Taylor. I've heard about him.
He more so on DraftKings where he's 3,900.
Yes, I have him in my lineup right now.
Yeah, I mean he's the great little flex you can throw in there, and he's going to be involved. Again, another committee running back, but at the same time he is a very involved running back.
Jeff Driscoll's their quarterback, so they have to run the ball because he's terrible.
I don't think Jeff Driscoll's that terrible.
He's pretty bad.
He's improved a lot more this year.
Yeah, I think people are maybe overestimating how bad Driscoll is, but I think Nick Wilson in the medium-priced running backs is the top play if you're gonna hit that medium right.
Only if Jones Grigsby's out, though, right?
Only if Jones Grigsby's out, and you need it's a late slate game, so you can kind of ease into if he's going to play or not. Just stay on Twitter, and if I see anything, I'll tweet it out. So follow me at Natural Slugger, and we'll get a little plug in there for me. But you can just follow that, and I'll hopefully find something before games lock at like 6:00, and we can know a little bit better. But this offense is this coaching staff is very secretive, so I don't know if they'll give us much. But Nick Wilson is the play if Jones Grigsby's out. So
if Jones Grigsby plays, do you think Wilson is still rosterable at all?
No.
Not at all?
No. I mean, if you'd roster him thinking that Jones Grigsby's out and then Jones Grigsby plays, I think you could be okay. But if I knowingly walk into the evening slate and I have all these other options, especially the cheap price guys, and I pass on them to get Nick Wilson in and then Jones Grigsby's plays, I'm going to be upset. Because I just don't think that's a smart, as they say, plus EV move to put in a backup running back. Well, I mean, we learned last week what a backup running back can do to you if the team decides, to change up their game plan and not use the backup running backs.
Hot takes.
Kerry did say that Stingley's workload will be increased this week.
Yeah, I know.
But he got, 6 carries last week?
Yeah, so we don't
know. So
that
could mean 10 carries.
Could mean 10, could mean 15, could mean 20. If it's 20, you just won every game.
Okay.
Oh, and also, you can look at his game logs from last year. That's not a whole lot to look at because he had Jordan Lynch there who ran the ball another 20 times a game. So his carries are going to go somewhere, and they can't throw the ball every down. So they're going to look to Stingley a lot more than they normally would, I think.
And I think people are going to really, because he was supposed to be out for the first 4 games, I think the normal person that's not staying up with information is going to just completely look past him. But he has risk. He definitely has risk, but he could win just everything for you.
I'm not playing him.
What'd you say?
I'm not playing him.
See? So you're being risk averse. Are you talking about cash games or GPP?
Cash games.
You're being a fish, David.
Why would you not? Why would you play him in cash games?
No.
I mean, his
I don't see the
workload
need
is
to do
going
that
to
now.
be.
You don't need to.
His workload's going to be increased, but it's not like the coach said he's going to get like the normal amount of touches. It's just like, okay, so we know that he's going to get more than 6 carries.
I know it's risk.
Do you remember last year? When everyone was on Stingily?
I wasn't.
Stingily?
I wasn't. When they had Jordan Lynch, I wasn't on.
Oh, yeah. No, everybody was. You wrote him up in the article.
I don't remember.
You did a couple times, Ben.
You did.
I wrote him up a little bit, but I mean, I don't remember.
You know how I know?
Why?
He didn't play. He was held out like no one knew. And the day, like
I remember that. That killed me too.
I was. Oh man, that
there was that,
and
then it was
me
when Desmond Rowland. He had the Desmond Rowland hot take, and it was some rando who went off for Oklahoma State.
Oh,
Rennie Childs.
Rennie Childs. Yep.
But Desmond.
Oh gosh.
Sometimes that happens in college football. We can't be all the way into these coaching staffs. They have different ideas of what they're going to do.
Wasn't that the big score weekend too?
Yep. Oh no, it was. It was definitely.
It was.
Big score weekend.
I lost a lot of money on that
draft
weekend.
day.
Hey, just so you want to, thanks for putting confidence in our listeners, guys. But I do believe during the big score week, I also came up with Mario Alford, who was like a min play on Draft Street, who had 200 yards.
Yeah.
So you can all.
That was when I paired Funchess with Gardner.
Yeah.
I punted the big score both times. It was bad.
Yeah. Was it like as bad as the NCAA basketball tournament?
Oh, I had one bad night, and it just happened to be the one night that you staked me.
Yeah.
That was literally the only time that I wasn't profitable during the whole tournament.
For people that do not know, I said, "Here, Jordan, here's $500. Enter as many games as you can." And he started freaking out. And the good news is I got a $27 ticket out of it. So
you didn't lose all of it, yeah. And didn't I win? Or I got something back from it.
No, yeah.
You didn't lose all of it.
No, I got
a lot of it, and I felt terrible.
$20 and a used gum wrapper.
He cashed something.
Yeah, I cashed something.
It got you like $80 back.
Yeah, the ROI was really bad.
I took like third in a GPP the next night too.
Oh, don't tell me that. It's like when Davis keeps on telling me how much he wins at golf. He's like, I have yet to lose at golf, and he created 10 lineups for me in that big DraftKings tournament, and none of them cashed. Not one.
Yep.
And then he told me, he said, well, there was one guy that there was a pricing error on, but I thought everybody would be on him, so I only put him in one of your lineups. And I said, Davis, let's talk. That's not how it goes. If you have 10 lineups, you want to use the guy who has a pricing error as a core play, and then differentiate the other guys, not the guy with the pricing error.
I think that's a good lesson for everybody who's listening too. I mean, don't try to outthink the room. I think people make a lot of that, make mistakes with that.
Well, you can outthink them, but when it comes to a pricing mistake, don't just put one. Davis was like, "Well, I was trying to win it." I was like, "Well, then you really blew that one, didn't you, sport?"
I have a good example of that tonight. Like Katie Cannon, if you tried to outthink the room and not play Katie Cannon tonight, you were dumb. And I'm sure some people sat there and said, "I'm not playing Katie Cannon." Well, that was a really, really dumb move, and you lost because you did it.
Yeah, that's just people being contrarian just to be a contrarian, and think that it's just like you said, trying to outthink the room, and it's so not optimal ever.
You are really dumb.
Did you have you built all these little add-ins, David? These little.
I got a boner.
Do you use these on the normal Fantasy Insider show
no,
that comes on? You know,
dark. This is the After Dark show.
Oh, you get to do the
This is
bonus?
the fun show.
Yeah, we need to do some bets. We need to bring back the bets from last year. I mean, here pretty soon, like when we disagree. But I think David, we should probably move on to wide receivers. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good with me.
All right. So Jordan, I think the more expensive wide receivers are pretty self-explanatory. I mean, if you go look at the ranks that I have up, I don't think we should dig into them too much because I want people to kind of go to the articles that we have and the rankings we have and all the other.
Look at that.
All the other products that we put out, you know, like the cheat sheets and everything. So we'll kind of leave those as nobody knows. But what do you think about some of the medium price guys on the early or late slates that you like? The medium guys.
At wide receiver, you said?
Yes, at wide receiver.
Like I said, I have Shane Wynn. I love that play. I'm all over that game. Who else do I like around there?
What do you think about
Kevin White?
I want you to pick one between these two guys, Matt Miller or Tommy Schuler. Tommy Schuler's is a Marshall wide receiver playing against Ohio, or you have Matt Miller, who's been stable and consistent through the first 2 weeks for Boise State at UConn. Both same price on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think Schuler definitely has the higher ceiling, but the talent that surrounds Miller kind of limits his upside a little bit because they want to spread the ball around, and Jay Ajayi is going to get his 30 touches. But I think for cash games, if you want to be really safe about it, play Miller because he's going to get his 12 to 15 targets and catch 7 or 8 balls, maybe a touchdown. But Schuler has the big explosive ability that he can go and catch you 2 60-yard passes for touchdowns and just light up the scoreboard like that. So it just depends on the game style.
I hope people listen to that because I think that's a really good job of looking at these two guys because I think he hit the nail really right on the head with Schuler's the upside play, Matt Miller's the safe play. If you're going to grab, you know, one of these guys, you need to factor that in. If you're going with Cato, go Schuler. I mean, it just makes sense. But beyond that, I really agree with you. Now going to Kevin White, who you were just talking about, stud. Do we agree on that?
Yes, definitely.
If you go back and watch the game, I mean, I hate to be really hot takey on this, but I just coined that word. You can use that. When he was playing against Alabama, I mean, some of those catches, dude. But some of the catches he made, some of the plays he made against some of the best, you know, corners and recruits in college football. Kevin White was making him look really stupid. And coming into this year, I didn't even know much about Kevin White. I mean, he didn't really show this last year. I fully thought that Mario Alford was going to be, you know, their Percy Harvin type, and I didn't know that they were going to have another guy that would emerge as like the prototype, you know, big-bodied, big receiver that can go up and catch the ball at the highest point type guy. And White is definitely that guy. I mean, he's vaulted himself all the way to a top 20 receiver in college football right now, and I don't think many people even knew his name before the season.
Yeah, he is a stud. Yeah. I want to get your take on the Travin Durrell, or however you say his name, for LSU.
Yeah, that's a good guy.
Intriguing.
He's a good guy to bring up because I mean he has been the top wide receiver for LSU's passing game. What little they've passed through the first couple of games. And he was in a car accident in the beginning of the week, and there was some question as to whether he was going to play. But this weekend, it's just a soft tissue. He had stitches, and so it's really not as big a deal as I think the Twitterverse and some of the news organizations was making it seem like. And they've already come out and said that he is playing. Now, with that said, it's Les Miles, and they're playing ULM. So I think you can pretty much throw everything out the window. And it's really tough to analyze this game from like a helicopter view because we don't know what's going on with Les Miles and how he's thinking ever. And so to just automatically assume what he's going to do is really dangerous. But if it was me, and David hates when I do this, but if it was me, I would use Durrell very sparingly, go to my Malachi Dupree, who's minimum price on both sites, or who's the big freshman wide receiver they've got coming up, who's caught a touchdown last week, and Leonard Fournette. And just give the ball to Leonard Fournette and let him prove if he really is like a Heisman candidate like he thinks he is.
See, I think Kenny Hilliard is a better play from that backfield just because we know he's going to get the touches.
Is he going to get the touches though?
I think he will.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fournette's been the leading carrier for the first 2 games. I think in bulk carries. Now
he had 8 carries against Wisconsin, where Hilliard had.
But he had 19 last week.
What? 18.
Let's see.
Hilliard had 10 more carries than.
I'm pulling it up. He has 21 versus Hilliard's 29. I mean, it's pretty much a committee.
Yeah, but Hilliard got all of the carries against Wisconsin, and he got a touchdown out of it. I don't know if Fournette did or not.
No, Fournette didn't do anything against
He was
Wisconsin.
miserable.
Yeah, he was bad. But it's Louisiana Monroe though, so you have to factor in the blowout potential in all of it too. And I think Fournette's going to get a lot of carries.
Do you think they'll leave Fournette in the game just to get him some game experience, even if it's a blowout?
I think Les Miles has a man crush on Leonard Fournette, and I think most of the country.
Does.
I was about to say I think most of the country has a man crush on Leonard Fournette. And if you saw some of Leonard Fournette's high school highlights, you'd have a man crush on Leonard Fournette too. He's really good. So
people have been touting him as the next Adrian Peterson, which is kind of stupid, but
they call everybody who's big and fast and the next Adrian Peterson. Todd Gurley's the next Adrian Peterson, but I think Todd Gurley's better than Adrian Peterson.
Oh, come on, Ben.
Have you seen Todd Gurley play?
Oh, no, he's really good, but he's not Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson didn't do that.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, well, we've gone
Get your homerism out of here.
I mean, let's just be honest. Against Clemson?
Todd Gurley is going to be like Doug Martin's rookie season.
200 yards,
Todd Gurley is.
4 touchdowns, doing kickoff returns for touchdowns.
He's going to get hurt turning a kick for no apparent reason.
I don't know. I noticed something with Todd Gurley, just to do one little thing. When he runs, he does something I don't think I've ever seen anybody do. Instead of cutting, he leans. And if you watch,
riding a motorcycle,
like he's riding a motorcycle coming into a turn, and like people are trying to chase him, but it's like he maintains speed, leaning over, and people can't get him. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. If you get a chance to watch him, I don't think anybody quite runs like that. So
that's weird. I haven't noticed that. I'll look for it.
Yeah, it's a little hot take nuance that I've noticed. All right, David, bring us back under control, please.
I don't even know what I can say.
David, give us a play. Give us a wide receiver play for the early slate.
Oh, don't ask me about anything. I haven't even looked at college.
Oh, come on.
Well, let's jump into the late slate just for a second. I want to hit on Austin Hill, who I think is another guy people will overlook because he had 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns in 2012, didn't play 2013. It had a great first game, didn't do a whole lot last game. They play Nevada. I think he's another guy. Big bodies, has the NFL-type body, could just be awesome against Nevada, especially if, like you said, you're going to do Anu Solomon in that game. He's a nice pairing on DraftKings where he's 4,600.
Yeah, I definitely can get behind that play. I don't think Nevada's that good.
But I think the best play on the late slate is going to be a Westerkamp for Nebraska. What's so funny?
Just read the chat.
Who's the guy on the left? That's not me.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I am on the left. Hey guys, we're celebrating victories tonight, okay?
Attaboy, Ben.
You know, this is what we do. We celebrate victories. We look forward to tomorrow's victories, and that's what we do. But
I think he was asking you that because you said Westerkamp is your top play.
I mean, I am a little tipsy, but Westerkamp isn't my top. He's my top low price play. We need to get that clear.
Okay.
He's my top low price play.
Todd Gurley's going to be better than Adrian Peterson take.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, I would like to hear all these people in 5-6 years when he is.
Yeah.
No, he's Doug Martin.
You guys are crazy. This guy has unbelievable speed, and he's 250 pounds. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Y'all tell me when it happens. I want to hear.
No Sean Marino. I agree.
No Sean Marino.
I love No Sean.
He's so much better than No Sean Marino. It's not even funny.
Nah.
But anyways, so Westerkamp against Fresno. Not necessarily cheap on DraftKings, but cheap on FanDuel at 5,300. They definitely, if they go to the air, if Tommy Armstrong goes to the air, it's going to be towards Westerkamp. And I think that's a really good deal there. So he's kind of my low price guy I like. Do you have any low price guys on the or on the early slate?
I do. Oh, Roger Lewis or Garrick Dieter. Either one of those guys from the Bowling Green offense. Because they spread the ball around a lot. But I think Roger Lewis is the one getting all of the receptions. He had 8 against Western Kentucky. And I think he had 9 against whoever the other team they played was. I don't remember who it is right off the top of my head. But he's not... Garrick Dieter is the big prototypical touchdown catching wide receiver, which I haven't watched them much, but I think he's more of a red zone target. But Roger Lewis he's leading the team in receptions. I think he's actually leading the team in touchdowns too, if I'm not mistaken. But he's min-sal on FanDuel. They're all really cheap, and I think you can fit just about anyone in at a running back or quarterback if you use one or two of those guys.
Yeah, I'm not as brave as Jordan. I'm kind of staying off the Bowling Green offense unless you decide to go Travis Green.
It's that over-under. It's at 73, and they're an underdog. They're a touchdown underdog, so they're going to be throwing the ball.
Yeah, Vegas can bite you in the ass though if you go
it can,
too
but
much.
I don't think highly of that Indiana defense either.
I mean, yeah, the Indiana defense isn't necessarily great, but isn't necessarily great. But it doesn't. That's not to say that they can't control Bowling Green, who isn't necessarily awesome either. Especially without Matt Johnson. Good. They don't have Matt Johnson though. I'd like to see.
Yeah, that's true. I think Nappy's a solid play too for a GP. I wouldn't play him in cash games, but I think he's a good GPP option.
I haven't seen Napke at all yet, so I can't really comment on if he's good or not. And I can't take any of his stats from last week as serious, so I will have to reserve judgment on him. But I really do like Matt Johnson.
But he's out, so we're stuck with that.
Exactly. So Travis Green, if you're going to get in that offense, I think Travis Green's the only one to own, personally.
I disagree.
Well,
I think that offense, they're going to put up points. That's all there is to it.
Bet.
So what do we need to bet? I need to pick a guy, or what are we doing? You come up with the terms, David, between that.
Yeah, lipstick bet.
Oh God.
For what? What are we betting though?
Whatever you guys just disagreed on.
No, offense. I just said that those Bowling Green wide receivers weren't the guys I would go after. I would go after Travis Green.
Okay, so Travis Green or
Don't do that, Jordan. You will lose so bad.
Yo, that's not a fair bet. I wouldn't play Travis Green just because he's 8,100 on FanDuel. You can get Tevin Coleman for $600 more.
No, I wouldn't either.
No, and then what is he on DraftKings?
Okay, the chat is calling for us to just bet on the Vegas line. What's the Vegas line? So that I need
That's 76 with Indiana, or 73.
So I bet the under and you bet the over? Is that what we're going to do?
Sure.
Okay, I'll bet the under.
Okay.
All right.
Actually, that's... Okay.
Well.
How about we bet on the Bowling Green State total?
What's the Bowling Green State total?
Well, 73 minus 7 is 66, so 33.
Okay.
I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right.
72 minus
you gotta
7.
check this college kid's math over here, David.
You take the spread and you divide it by 2. And then
you take 73 minus the line, which is 7. So there you get 66, and you split that in half. And there's your 33 for Bowling Green and 40 for Indiana.
Dink did our math for us. We need him around more often. He says 40 to 33, 7-point spread.
That's what I just said.
Okay, fair enough.
So 33 points for Bowling Green.
Okay, I'll take the under.
Smoke that.
I'll take the under.
Okay.
For Bowling Green.
I'll take that.
Jordan,
I have to throw a Bowling Green stack in a GPP.
But we're doing lipstick. Is that what we're doing?
We'll do something.
Okay, we'll do lipstick. Do you have lipstick, Jordan?
I don't have lipstick.
You'll have to borrow it from Davis's.
Yeah, I can figure something out, but I'm not worried about that. They're going to score 40 points.
Yeah, we'll see.
So basically, Jordan, do you know anybody that has lipstick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure I can find some.
Okay, so you know females?
Yes, I know females. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Oh, like Davis's girlfriend. She has lipstick, probably.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
don't
just said. Where have you
I'm
been?
sure she does.
Right. Sorry, I was focused.
I'll just go up to some random stranger in Aggieville and ask her for lipstick. That'd be a great conversation starter.
I don't want to do that.
Like, hey girl, got some lipstick?
Sports Fix is nice. Hashtag lipstick and wine.
That's how we do it. That's what I think about when I think of Southern college football hot takes is lipstick and wine.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys.
And sundresses.
Oh,
I don't know anything about sun. You mean like, is that going to be our next bet? Because I don't know if I'm down with that.
You don't know what sundresses are?
No, I know what sundresses are. I just don't know if I want to wear one on this show. Is what I'm talking about.
Oh, I don't think we could find a sundress that big.
Oh.
Like, I don't think we could find a sundress big enough for me, let alone you.
Well,
Ben,
They're for small girls.
Yeah. Ben, what cup size are you?
definitely a C or something, B or C.
Oh man.
I got some chest to me. I mean, some of it's muscle, but these days it's a little bit more flab too.
These days.
All right, I think it's time we get into tight
It
ends.
used to be something.
I was something. Ask David. I was something for about 6 months.
Oh, Ben was like, I mean, he was in shape. He was handsome. He was popping his collar in college.
Oh, he was a frat boy.
But without the frat. Like, he definitely walked
Oh
around
yeah, we went over this.
with a pink polo shirt with a pop collar. Sometimes, if he's feeling frisky, 2 pop collars.
No, I did not ever do that, Jordan. Don't listen to that.
I totally believe that. I can see it.
No, I definitely popped the collars, but it wasn't like I'm not the proudest time of my life during that time, but I mean, yes, I definitely did. I thought I looked good with the pop collar. I don't know why. It looked good.
Pop collar was never cool. Never.
It might not have been cool, but I thought I looked good
It's
with it.
terrible.
I get that now, Jordan, but back then it was cool.
Okay, let's move on to tight end.
Okay, yeah.
What is that noise?
I don't know. It's
I got a boner.
sounds like a porn. Anyways, like I think for early slate, the tight ends you're looking at, there's a ton of options, but I think that it's like it's between Frono, Christian, and Hooper for me. Now I don't
like
know
Wes
if
Saxton a lot.
okay, yeah, and he's the closest to men you're going to get on FanDuel at 3,200. He's not available on DraftKings, so I get that. Tell us why you like Saxton.
Mostly because I look at his game logs and I see that he has at least 4 receptions, just all the way down like the end of last year. I don't know what they've done this year with him. I haven't looked into it a whole lot.
Yeah, they haven't used him a lot yet, but you're talking about a guy who's a preseason Mackey guy, John, the tight end award list every single year. That he's like last year he is this year. So a very important guy to that offense, and he's a min price guy. So yeah, he's definitely an option. But if you're going on FanDuel, and I really think you need to spend. If it was me, I would spend.
Yeah.
And it's Hooper. It's Frontful and it's Christian. And Hooper is the new flashy Stanford tight end. And he's been very productive. He's the guy that I like if you decide to go in that medium range, but he's not that much different price from Christian or Frontful. And if you're going to go Cato, again, make sure you get another one of his complimentary guys like Frono who can catch those touchdowns.
I have another punt for you. Is Jameis Mundine for KU. Here's my homer pick for you.
That is a homer pick.
He is the only big red zone target that KU has at all. They don't really even use their wide receivers a whole lot outside of Nick Harwell, who's new. They have Tony Pearson, who's basically a running back. But those guys are all tiny. Mundine is huge, and he's good. And they love to target him in the red zone. He caught like 8 touchdowns last year, I think.
Yeah, it seems like that's the only time he gets touches, though, is in the red zone. Which
it is.
If
and with Montel Cozart there, they're moving the ball a lot better. The offense actually has some life to it. They're not just pounding it with James Sims every single play. They spread the ball around and they move the ball. It's a much better team.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going with a minimum play, you might as well go for a guy that's going to try to catch touchdowns or it has that potential. So, late slate, I like Jesse James. Obviously, we talked about him.
He's my favorite too.
Unbelievable talent. You need to really get a look at this guy. I mean, I think that we're about 3 weeks away from every one of those little draft nicks getting a hold of him and pushing him to the first round of their draft boards. I think he's just that good. He might, I have to check on it, but he might be a sophomore, so he may not be ready till next year. But I don't know about Croft. I think he's a risky play if you decide to go that.
Tell Steve to play Croft again.
No, I'm not telling Steve to do anything. No, that's just not a good idea. But Croft has all the potential in the world. It's just the
that
first
offense
games
is awful.
Dude, he's been so
miserable.
Yeah, and it's a risky play. But if you don't go James, if you don't pay for James, I think Sins on both sites on DraftKings or FanDuel is an option. But with Gabe Holmes out, they're going to go to the tight end in that offense, so he's definitely an option. But Koyak is, if you don't go James, Koyak's my guy.
I like Koyak too.
Again, another guy. He's seeing his price. You're talking about a guy who's min price on DraftKings, who I think before the year we would probably have said would be a top 5 tight end. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's still always a part of me that wants to roster Blake Bell, just hoping that they throw the Belldozer package in and he throws one or rushes for something. But I mean, he finally caught 2 passes last week against Tulsa. He caught a touchdown. But I just don't see him being part of that offense. But there's that part. I want to roster him so bad. Especially if Trevor Knight goes down, he's going to be the quarterback and he's going to get all those points.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think he's the third string quarterback, though.
Oh, is he now?
Yeah, I don't think they want him to be anymore in the quarterbacks. I know Davis likes to project him as a quarterback, but it's not gonna. I don't.
Yeah, I'm kind of brainwashed a little bit by that.
You got to watch out for
Davis. OU homerism,
dude. He falls in love with players, so you really got to watch out and see through some of it.
Oh yeah, Davis is the one that falls in love with players.
Todd Gurley better than Adrian Peterson, huh?
I mean, y'all talk to me next week. We'll talk next week.
Yeah, we'll talk next week.
We will. While you're wearing lipstick.
Yeah. We'll have to get a better internet connection so we can see it clearly on YouTube. So nice. All right, that will do it for the show. Next week, tune in because one of these guys are gonna be wearing lipstick on the show.
All you, Ben.
It's gonna be popping.
It's all you, Ben.
Also, we'll have the PDF, we'll have the rankings, we'll have everything you need in addition to the articles and the cheat sheets tomorrow. So be checking your inbox if you're a member, and best of luck tomorrow in your college football matchups. I won't be there. I'll be going out of town tomorrow for a brother-in-law's birthday. So I may be able to convince the wife. That she can drive. It's a 3-hour trip.
There you go.
She can drive in the morning. I can put together lineups. Maybe that'll be a thing.
There you go.
So we'll see. All right, guys. Thank you, Jordan Case at the Jordan Case and at Natural Slugger for Ben Pritchett.
I haven't gotten any follows yet, so I guess nobody cares.
Well, duh.
I didn't either. It's okay.